So what we're going to do now is use Ultra Key. Ultra Key is probably the best of all the keys. It has a lot of control. It has parameters that are very succinct. So what I'm going to do is grab this file called Green Screen Reporter and put it over our sun background. By the way, you could use any background you want for any of these. So if you want to download a different background other than the sunset, that's fine. Okay, so when I put the Green Screen Reporter on, I see here that he is very well lit. The green screen behind it is also very evenly lit, which is important. However, we do see right here there is a black curtain next to him that became part of the scene. So we need to get rid of that as well. So the first thing I want to do is go over to my effects and go down to my keying, open that up, and I'm going to look now for Ultra Key. I could also type Ultra up here in my search and find it very quickly. So Ultra Key, I'm going to drag and drop, and immediately it doesn't do anything, but we see here the Ultra Key has a lot of different parameters to use. So the first thing, of course, I'm going to do is sample my key color. So I'm using my small eyedrop, and I can come over here and select the background. Now I see a few things here. First of all, I see the black curtain is still here, and there's a ring around him. For output, what we're going to do is select alpha channel so we could see that matte. Okay, so we see a few things. We see that he has some holes in his arm, probably reflections in his sleeve where it's white. And if I click back to composite, I see that that's true. So when you're shooting for a chroma key, be careful about using white because white reflects the green or the blue color very strongly. Also notice he's not wearing anything green, otherwise he would disappear as well. The other thing you might see holes in a person is reflections. Like I don't see any reflections off his jewelry or his rings here, but that can happen. So if you're shooting something with a lot of reflections, be careful that it doesn't reflect on the green or blue color. Let's get rid of this edge around him. So I'm going to go back to alpha and I'm going to see what some of my tools are. First of all, one thing it says setting default. If I come over here to aggressive, immediately his matte gets smaller and most of his holes in his sleeves go away. There's some holes there left. So I'm going to now go to the next area down, matte generation. Now I know that it's in the shadows that the holes have been created. I'm going to up my shadow a little bit and it almost disappears. So let's see how we're doing. We're going to go back to composite and I see he looks pretty good. There's still a little bit of this edge, especially here on the left side. So let's see if we could prove that a little bit better. Okay, so I could go back to my alpha instead of my composite, but I'm going to keep my composite because we're kind of fine-tuning it at this point. I'm looking here to see what else might be of help. I'm going to go down to matte cleanup. Okay, choke. Choke obviously will help because I'm choking in that matte. But if I put in too much choke, we cut off his head and his hair, so we don't want that. So by default, it's at 10. So maybe if I type in 20, okay, that kind of did the job. Okay, so that cut into him just enough to take off that ugly edge. However, it is a little jagged, and we could see the jagged part pretty much on the right side mostly. So I'm going to add a little bit more soften. Right now it's at 10. I'm going to type in 20. And okay, it softens, it cuts it down a little bit, it softens off that edge. I may even go back to choke and reduce it to 15. Okay, so these are the kind of things you just experiment with and see what ends up the best. Now I see a little bit of edge on the left side, so I could continue to use other tools. Right now I'm increasing that midpoint, and that seemed to help a little bit. I still have an edge on the left side right here, but it's not too bad. So again, play it after you've used Chroma Key to see how good your edge is. Okay, now the last thing is how do we get rid of that curtain on the right side? You go, ooh, I can mask that out using the mask keys. However, it's not the Ultra Key mask keys that we want to use. So I'm going to close that up. I'm going to go to opacity. It's the opacity mask that we need. So I'm going to click on my 4 point polygon mask, and immediately that cuts out the curtain and it cuts out most of him. So obviously what we want to do is pull this down right to the edge of that curtain. That curtain isn't moving, but he's moving. So we want to make sure we have plenty of room to keep him on the screen. Okay, so now we've masked out the curtain and we chroma keyed him, so that's looking pretty good.